Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is lesson 4 or 5, subtracting rational numbers. Make sure as you're watching, you're looking for the learning target. The reason you're watching this video, what are you trying to learn? Make sure you're taking nice notes as you go with definitions and examples, as well as going through and looking for questions you may have. Any questions you have, please remember to re-watch that section of the video. And then if you still have questions, come to class with those questions. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, we're going to pull up the companion page in a minute, so let's listen to this real quick though.
Without subtracting, tell whether A minus C, A minus B, and B minus A would result in a negative or positive difference. Tell how you know.
Okay, so this is the companion page. Make sure that you're watching, that you're also doing the reflection towards the bottom. Go ahead and pause at this moment. Okay, welcome back. So check your companion page and compare what you have written compared to what is written on this. Okay, pause as you need to review this. So let's go ahead and go on and see what our focus is going to be.
In the lunch, you thought about how to determine the sign of the difference of two rational numbers. How is subtracting rational numbers different than subtracting whole numbers?
Okay, so this is key concept, so this is going to be some note-taking here.
You subtract a fraction or a decimal the same way you subtract an integer.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at this, and you see that A minus B is the same as writing A plus a negative B. And then remember, if you have a double negative, that's the same as having a positive. So A minus a negative is plus a positive, so that becomes a positive. So A minus a negative B is A plus B. So if we're writing a subtraction as an adding the opposite, so we have negative 3/5 minus 4/5 is the same as negative 3/5 plus a negative 4/5. We can combine these because they have like denominators without having to do any extra math and say, well, negative 3 and negative 4 is negative 7. So we're going to end up with a negative 7/5. Now, if we're looking at decimals, we still have minus or a negative 9 1/10 minus a negative 7 6/10. Remember, I have a double negative. That becomes that's right, a positive. So negative 9.1 plus 7.6. Which one is going to have the greater absolute value? 9.1 or 7.6? That's right, 9.1. So we're going to keep the negative sign, so we bring that straight down. And then you're just looking for the difference between these two. So what is the difference? 1.5. So negative 1.5. Okay, make sure you pause if you need to write this down because these are great examples to write into your note. I would be expecting to see this whole section here when I look. Okay, so we need to drag each of these expressions to the area that describes the difference. So if I have a negative 3/2 minus a negative 3/2, this becomes a positive. So I have a negative 3/2 plus 3/2. Am I going to have a negative number, a 0, or a positive? That's right, it's going to be a 0. Okay. If I have negative 4 7/10 minus a negative 4 7/10, what is this going to be? Well, what do we know? A double negative is a positive, so these would cancel each other, correct? So they should become 0 again. Now if I have negative 4/3 minus a negative, which is 2/3, this is going to become a positive. So now I have to ask, which one of these is going to have the greater absolute value? Negative 4/3, 4/3, or 2/3? Think about it. That's right, this is going to have the greater, so we know it's going to stay negative. Ooh, negative 8/10 minus 8/10. They're both negative. The sign's not going to change, it's going to stay negative. Now I have negative 2 6/10 minus a negative 3 1/10. Again, minus a negative is going to be a plus a positive, so that becomes a positive. Now is 3 1/10 going to be larger than 2 6/10 when we look at the absolute values? Yes, it is. So we're going to go to the positive. Now we have negative 5 minus 3 3/4. Well, these are both negative, so that's going to stay negative. Now I have a 5 7/10 minus an 8 1/2. Which one's going to have a larger absolute value? 8, right? Because 8 is bigger than 5, regardless to what we're seeing behind it. So we're going to say negative. Now if I have a half minus a negative, which that becomes a positive, so half plus a fourth, well, those are both positive, so it's going to stay here. So let's check if I have this correct. Yay, we do! Go ahead and copy this into your notes, pausing the video so that you can have examples of the negatives, the zeros, and the positives. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen.
Is negative 1/5 minus negative 1/5 less than 0, equal to 0, or greater than 0?
Pause it a moment while you try to figure that out. Okay, thank you for coming back. So remember, we can rewrite subtraction as adding the opposite. So minus 1/5 minus a negative, well, minus the negatives plus a positive, that's just the way it is. I know I'm not a great singer, but that's going to become a positive. So I have a negative 1/5 plus a 1/5. They're going to get additive inverses, which gives me 0. Excellent. Okay, this is the end of part 1 of this video. Be sure to watch part 2 as well. Thank you very much.